Well, hello, seniors, and welcome back to the Central Bucks Senior Task Force. We meet the first Monday of most every month right here at the Central Bucks Senior Center at 700 North Shady Retreat Road. And, of course, you can find us here on your TV set at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. every day on Comcast Channel 22 and Verizon Channel 31. So we've got a great speaker today and interviewee, if you will. So, Jerry Fox.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Or good afternoon, rather.
All right. Well, Jerry, so I want to welcome you to the task force meeting, and we're going to have a little interview and talk about some important things for seniors.
Thank you.
And among those things that you're here to talk about are veteran issues.
Yes.
And so we'd love to learn a little bit more about the veterans of Central Bucks, if you will. And maybe we'll call it even Doylestown area.
Yes.
But I guess the first question I have is, what's your role and why do you come here today to talk about veterans?
Well, I wear several hats.
You're not wearing any hat at the moment.
Well, fortunately, we're indoors.
Okay, very good.
I work for the county, the Recorder of Deeds. We have a Veterans ID card program that's issued by the county. We record the veterans' military records so that if they lose them or need them, they are available. And associated with that is a discount program. And I travel throughout the county.
Yes.
And I speak with the different businesses and ask them if they can extend discounts to veterans.
Right.
Currently, there are approximately 14,000 veterans who have the county ID card, and there are over 1,400 businesses that are participating.
Okay.
In fact, I took the liberty of bringing the booklet, and we issue this booklet twice a year in time for Memorial Day and then again in time for Veterans Day.
Okay. Very interesting.
And this is mailed out to the veterans. And in between the two, we also have online on the county's website the list as it is updated. Generally, it's updated about once a month.
And this is a list of?
This is a list of the businesses that are extending discounts to veterans throughout Bucks County. And there are some businesses in Montgo as well.
Okay.
Montgo also has a program of their own, but it's not quite as good as ours because I don't work for them.
Okay. Now, when you say Montgo, you mean Montgomery
County, yes.
Okay. So 1,400 businesses in the kind of the Bucks County, Montgomery County, a little bit area.
Yes.
Offer a discount to veterans.
Yes.
And do they have to show their card to get that?
Yes, there is a county ID card. Some of the businesses will extend the discount to other veterans' ID cards, but the businesses are actually endorsing the program through the county.
Excellent. And is there a sticker on the window, or?
Yes, they have a sticker. I did not bring one with me, but there is a sticker on the window. Most of the businesses do display that, and it's designed for the veteran specifically. Many of the businesses, like restaurants, will extend it to the veteran plus a guest, and often to a party of 4 or 6.
So I'll have to go with you if we go out to one of these restaurants,
yes,
if you don't mind.
Yes, but I will warn them.
Okay. Well, for me, it's interesting topic, veterans. I was born in 58, and so I came of age, so to speak, kind of just outside of the era of the Vietnam War, and before really other, people were not signing up in my age bracket.
Yes.
So, in great numbers, I should say. Obviously, people were enlisting, but at least for me, it wasn't we didn't have a big war going on at the time, and so we just didn't have that kind of participation. My father, on the other hand, was a World War II veteran, and he's in his mid-90s now, and he was a POW in Germany. So that was kind of an interesting experience for him. And I love the service of our veterans, and both my kids are veterans. So, I kind of fell in the middle there.
Thank them for us.
I will.
The other thing we do, Kevin, and I've been involved with this for the past 2 years. It's now been renamed as the Bucks County Tour of Honor, and on September 26th, we will be taking World War II, primarily veterans,
Right.
and then Korea veterans, and each veteran is assigned a guardian to stay with them for the day. We leave from Parks Casino, go down to Washington to all of the memorials, and then we come back and have a dinner. And because we realize that many of the veterans have some difficulty walking,
Right.
each bus has a wheelchair for every veteran on the bus. Last year, we took 200 World War II and Korea veterans, and we anticipate at least that many. We've just started accepting applications. World War II and Korea veterans, if they are interested, can call the Recorder of Deeds office at the courthouse. So if you catch me wandering around the county, I usually have forms with
Okay.
me to fill in.
So it's the Recorder of Deeds that manages the program for the
Yes.
most part. So, and that's in the new or the old courthouse?
It's in the old courthouse.
Okay. Now we can say the old and the new, right?
Well, the new is actually called, I think, the Administration
Federal
Building.
office or who knows?
Yeah.
Justice Center, okay.
Or the Justice Center.
That's good.
And the other thing that I'm involved in, anticipating your question,
Yes.
is in Doylestown, we have what is known as United Veterans of Doylestown.
Yes.
And that is comprised of the American Legion Post 210, of which I am a member,
Okay.
the VFW Post 175, the Vietnam Veterans of America, Post 175, Disabled American Veterans, and the Marine Corps League. The American Legion has its own headquarters building at 315 North Street in
Right,
Doylestown.
right. I've been there many times for
Well,
different events.
we are the home for all of the veterans groups.
Okay.
They all meet at our building, and we have them listed on our website when they meet.
Oh, that's interesting. So that's kind of right where Main Street, North Street, and Church Street come together, a little bit further
Yes.
from that.
Yes.
A little bit down the road from that.
Yes, North Street, as you continue north, it eventually crosses 313, it becomes
Right.
Cold Spring
So it's
Creamery.
actually kind of behind the St. Paul's Lutheran.
Yes,
Okay. So
Exactly.
those of you that are watching and have seen that building that says VFW on it.
no,
right?
it says American Legion.
I apologize. Thank you. The American Legion. So, and, stop in there, I guess, at any time, or is it just
No,
open
when
on
we,
certain
when we
days?
have our meetings and events, we received our charter in 1919. So we've been-
1919,
And our building, I believe, dates from 1924.
1933.
33, I'm corrected, our commander is here
Oh,
today.
good. We have good people in the audience.
Bill Luckenbill.
Hey, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, well, so there's a big history here in Doylestown in particular with
Yes.
wars in general, if you will, in that you have the Revolutionary War
Yes.
Museum here, I guess. A Civil
Civil War
Civil
Museum.
War. You have a Revolutionary War kind of encampment area for George Washington and his troops, is marked here in Doylestown. You've also got World War I represented. Is that at the monument?
Well, there's the monument at Main and Court.
Main
And,
Court, okay.
and if you go into the old courthouse at the Wedge, there are actually monuments or areas of memorial for all of the wars. And the most recent being the global war on terrorism, the globe that you can see.
Right, oh, yes.
And the
I've seen that.
fundraising for that was done by the VFW post.
Okay.
That was dedicated, I believe, a little over a year ago.
So it's amazing to me, Jerry, when I see old photos of Doylestown and I see that monument.
The obelisk.
The obelisk, right? The obelisk in the middle of the street there. In fact, I just had my picture taken in front of that today, just by coincidence. Now, there's also a memorial down at Broad. Maybe you don't know about this one. I'm sure you do. At Broad and Main.
Yes.
And I think that is. Do you know what that's to? Anybody know what that's to? But
Well,
it's somebody
I'm
giving a
not
cup
sure.
of water
Yes.
to a soldier, I believe.
I'm not
could be the
sure. I
Civil-
believe that is Civil War.
Okay, kind of interesting. So, there was War Memorial Field,
Yes?
which I understand used to be a parade grounds for an army base, maybe?
That
Or
I
a
don't know,
camp?
but that is where we begin the Memorial Day observance with
Right.
the flag raising and a parade that originates there. And that parade is organized and run by the United Veterans of Doylestown.
Well,
The 148th is coming up this year.
I'm going to be in it, so I
I
can't
will.
wait. So that's a great parade. I mean, anybody that is from the local area or has just moved to the local area should partake in that parade, should go down
Yes.
and honor our veterans by observing that parade. It's really a wonderful experience. But yes, that where Central Bucks West is today used to be called Lacey Camp. And
Oh,
that goes
interesting.
back a number of years, and I guess it was World War I that it was a camp for soldiers there. And so it's kind of an interesting artifact. There's a couple little bits of that around the town. The Memorial Day Parade, let's focus on that before we move to a couple other things. But the Memorial Day Parade, obviously, on Memorial Day. I
Yes.
understand it's one of the oldest in the country.
Well, we claim to be the oldest, but there are several other claims around the country to that also. So
We'll hang on to it.
we
We can take it.
we recognize that we are correct.
Okay. Very good. But what a great experience, especially at the end of the parade when everybody gathers together in the cemetery around some of the veteran graves. It's quite a moving experience there.
It is. It's interesting. The attendance at the cemetery has increased over the last few years. The various veteran groups, including a women's veterans organization, place wreaths at the various memorials in the cemetery.
Right.
Not at their own.
Yes.
They kind of cross organizations and
Okay.
place them. Also, before Memorial Day, the American Legion, with assistance from volunteers, replaces all of the individual flags at the graves. I believe it's over 2,300 flags
Wow.
are replaced. And during the course of the year, as somebody advises us, we actually replace the medallions that support the flags.
Wow, that's an undertaking.
Yes, that's one of the outreach things that we do.
Well, let's turn our attention to the outreach because there are a few things, and you've given me some great notes to take a look at here. But I see something about the Veterans Expo. Now, what
Yes.
exactly is that? I've never heard of that.
Well, unfortunately, as we're taping that, it will be occurring this week, so we'll be talking about it pretty much in hindsight when this hits the TV stations. This is the third time that we're doing this. We're open to the entire community of veterans, and I think we've had veterans attend from over 30 different communities to our previous two.
Okay.
We have representatives from the VA hospital, various organizations that provide support, whether it's senior health care, education. We've had representatives from Del Val University.
Yes.
Del Val has a very active student veterans organization. I think they have approximately 125 to 150 student veterans attending there now. And, so they're there to talk about veterans' educational benefits. If I may refer to a note that I have here.
Of course.
We have a workshop for senior veterans and spouses, which will be occurring, referring to pensions, state and federal.
That's a good thing.
But we probably will, I don't know if we'll do another one later in the year, but that's the type of topics that we have.
And where, even though this may be seen next year as well, or during the fall.
Hopefully.
So Veterans Expo will probably occur again, but where is it typically held?
It's held in our building.
Oh, wow.
At 315 North Street.
Okay, so, excellent. So, and there's plenty of parking on the street? A little bit of parking
We
around the sides?
we have used, the church has allowed us use of their parking lot when we've
Okay.
had events like this. The parking lot is not as large as we would like, but, back then, they may have been coming in by horse and buggy.
Your neighbors aren't moving.
No, no.
Especially the neighbors
Very
in the
good
back.
neighbors, too.
Okay, let's talk about, you have a state leadership program for boys and girls.
It's called Keystone Boys State and Keystone Girls State. It's a one-week community and leadership training program. Last year, I believe, we sponsored 10 boys and girls. When I say boys and girls, it's young adults.
Okay.
They're between junior and senior year, and they go to this camp for a week. One of the interesting sidelights is that any of these young men and women who have applied to the military academies so far, from the ones that we've sponsored, I think we've had 100% acceptance to the military academies.
Wow.
It's a very prestigious camp for the young men and women.
Wow, great experience, too. I see you have a Legion baseball team.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
The
Now, are they in the
Doylestown
World
Tigers.
Series, or how does that happen?
I think they did a little bit better last year than they did this past year, but
Okay.
we sponsored them, and
Where are they based? Where do they play?
Bill, I'll have to ask you, all over
All
Bucks
over
County.
Bucks County.
Over the state 2 years ago, they were state.
And what's the age group, or is it just all
That
veterans?
I'm not sure. No, it's high school
Oh, it's
students.
high school
Yeah,
students,
yeah.
okay.
And they're also very supportive of us.
Hmm.
They assist us when we have events. They come in, help set up tables. They actually act as servers for drinks and all.
Okay.
Recently, they had a fundraising event, which unfortunately was snowed out. We had that snow alert that Saturday, and
Okay.
one of the local automobile agencies stepped forward and allowed them the use of their facility as their snow date. And
Oh,
they
that's-
had over 400 people, and they made a contribution back to the American Legion, as well as us supporting them financially.
Nice. I see also a note here about an egg hunt at Font Hill. Now, is this 72nd annual?
Yes.
Now, that to me just, is like, wow. So, how does it happen? Who gets involved? How do you get invited? Can I search for eggs, or do I have to plant eggs?
Well,
or I can't come at all, or?
We would probably have to put a diaper on you in order to allow you to compete. It's
Hey,
it's
whatever.
It's
They have adult diapers.
it's open to the community.
Okay.
A number, I guess we filled approximately 300 bags with candy. So the kids that you saw on sugar highs that weekend were
Right.
our problem
Okay.
or cause.
Yes.
The release of the children is by age group, so you
Sounds
don't
like
have 13-year-olds
releasing
trampling
geese or
3
something.
years old. Yeah. They're timed. We
Okay.
have staging
They're in
areas for the different
little
age
cages,
groups.
you let them
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Okay.
But that's been going on for 72
Wow.
years.
And do they go into the woods, or is
No,
it just
in the big area in front of
in
Font
the
Hill.
grass?
On
In the grass.
yes.
Okay. So they scramble across the grass looking for eggs.
Scouring the grass for bags. Hopefully there aren't any
Bags
still
have gotta
there.
be pretty small.
Actually, not.
Okay.
About
All right.
so
Interesting.
big.
You got to let the grass grow then.
Yeah.
Talk about veterans at some of the local nursing homes and other facilities like assisted living and so forth like that.
Well, at Neshaminy Manor, there are quite a few residents there who are veterans, and we make it a point before Christmas and at other times during the year to try to visit them. And last year, I believe, we gave them hats that indicated that they were veterans.
Interesting. Good.
The VFW, I know, goes up to Pine Hill once a month. And,
Pine Run?
Pine Run, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
that's okay.
And they have breakfast with them. And our post started about 3 or 4 months ago. Solana on 6/11
Yes.
invited us. They dedicated a veterans wall with medallions and photos of their residents who are veterans.
Interesting,
And
yes.
we've gone there and spoken to them, and in fact, we'll be going back to have them fill in the applications for the Tour of Honor. They have quite a few
Sure.
World War II and Korea vets there.
Oh, that's really excellent. Let's talk about flags. So you do the flags at the cemeteries, but other things having to do with the flag? I mean, can citizens request a flag, or that's not really what you do, but you provide flags in other areas?
We don't do that as much. What we do, as I indicated before, is there are various cemeteries. I think in the Doylestown Cemetery, where we have the Memorial Day,
Right.
I believe there are over 700 veterans buried there.
Right.
And those flags over the course of a year and the wind, and especially the last couple of nights,
Right.
they
kind of
they are
scattered.
well, they're removed. They've already been removed, and the week or two, I believe it's Armed Forces Day. That weekend, we go out with assistance, and we place flags in all of those grave markers, the
Yes.
medallions
Yes.
that I had indicated.
Okay.
Also, we retire flags. That's something that we do at the post. We have a receptacle behind the building, which is available at any time,
Right.
for you to drop off a flag that has been damaged or is no longer wanted. And we have a formal ceremony, and we've done that twice a year for the last several years that I'm aware of.
Well, so I think that's a great thing for our audience to know about.
Yes.
Because oftentimes, even in my own community, you see flags that have kind of gotten wrapped around the flagpole one too many times, and they just look a little dragged, if you will. You know,
Yes.
they're not really showing the colors the way they should. And I'm kind of one of those flag guys that I only want to put my flag out and show it appropriately, and then I typically take it in.
In fact, the flag here at the senior center has had a difficult winter.
Okay.
And one of the other members and I will be taking it down.
Okay.
And replacing it within the next several weeks.
So that's a great respectful way to handle
Yes.
a flag that, you may have in your possession that you no longer want or need.
Yes.
And if there's anything with like 13 stars in it, do you want them held off to the side?
Only if they're autographed.
Okay. Betsy, either Betsy or
Yeah.
Ben.
As an interesting sidelight, the receptacle that we have was an Eagle Boy Scout project.
Huh.
And he built that box for us, and we have benefited from several Eagle Scout projects at the Legion, and also up in Plumstead Township. We've had some of the older veterans boards listing the names.
Yes.
We've had 2 Eagle Scouts up in the Plumstead Township area who have rebuilt those boards for us at the Plumstead Township Veterans Park on 6/11.
Oh, nice. I'm going to have to make sure I get up there. I know you mentioned that to me before before we started today. A couple things that come to mind that are not on our list here necessarily. The VA hospital. So the Veterans Administration runs a series of hospitals. I know just, that for a fact because of my father, of course. But for our viewing audience, what's the deal with VA hospitals? Obviously any veteran can use it, I guess, but also can veteran families use the VA hospital? I don't know that.
Kevin, on this one, I've learned over my career that if you don't know something, admit to it rather than bluff.
That's okay.
And I honestly do not have an answer to that. Although I am a veteran, I have not had to avail myself of the services offered by the VA and
Okay.
the VA hospital. However, when we have the expos,
Yes.
we do have people there. There is also a county VA person. His name is Dan Fraley.
Okay.
He's located in the the facility on Almshouse Road. I can't
Okay.
remember the name
Yes,
of the
yes,
facility.
But the kind of like the county.
He's the county VA
County
rep,
offices.
and Betty, who works for him, they are a fount of
Yes.
information. You can find information to reach Dan on the Bucks County website, which
Okay.
is buckscounty.org, and you can look up veterans information, and his phone and email is listed on there.
Okay, well, so that's good to reference for everybody. Let's take a look and just talk about a few other things. And this is, if you don't mind, may I ask, how did you serve?
Generally, during the morning on KP.
Lots of eggs and bacon?
Well, the time frame that you mentioned, I went in the service in 1959 as a member of the Army Reserves, which was 6 months at that time.
Okay.
I returned to college, and a year later, President Kennedy said, "Ask not what
you
your
can
country
do."
can do,
Yes.
what your country can do for you."
Right.
Many people don't remember the thing that drove that was the Berlin Wall.
Yes.
And that was the beginning of many call-ups. There were various crises at that point. You had the Berlin Wall, the Pueblo incident, and there was a third one, which I
And Bay of Pigs was in there, or no?
Bay of Pigs was a little bit later,
Okay.
but these were often referred to as Cold War.
Okay.
By classification, because of the time my total time served between 59 and 65, I am classified as a Vietnam era veteran.
I see.
So I did serve in the States. We backfilled active duty troops that were sent overseas to Germany and Europe.
Okay.
So it's only recently that I actually considered myself a veteran. I was never in combat, but this is my way of giving back to the other veterans, and I have a son who will retire this year from the Air Force. So
I understand. Well, that's no matter how you serve, when you give of yourself to the country, that's a positive thing. And some have paid a price higher, than anybody else, and we respect that. Let's talk about, in general, the benefits that some people may have that are not themselves veterans, like spouses of veterans. Are there any special benefits that you're aware of?
well, that again is something that we have that seminar coming up,
Okay.
which is unfortunately this week.
Okay.
But there are certain stipends. We all pass away at some point in time. The county, one of the reasons for recording your military records with the county is that they are available when we pass away. There is an allowance for burial, I believe it is, grave marker.
Okay.
So there are some smaller benefits right through the county. But again, going through Dan Fraley's office and many of the members of our community,
Okay.
the veterans organizations, I think that was my pacemaker going on.
That's fine.
Many of
We
the,
have those
I
things happen.
don't have
Don't
one.
worry, no alarm out there. We're fine.
Many of our veterans have dealt with different issues. I believe at our last expo, a gentleman came in and was not aware he had lost his hearing. And Dan Fraley was there and spoke with the gentleman, and within several weeks, the man had a hearing aid
Oh,
through the
interesting.
VA.
Yes, great.
So the people are available. If we can put people in contact with the right people.
Okay.
If I
You're a
don't know,
connector.
or Bill doesn't know, or
Right.
others, we can pretty much direct. What is it, 6 degrees of separation?
they say,
We try to
right.
keep it down to 3.
Okay, very good. One call does it all.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
at least 3 calls. Now, question, are you familiar at all with the National Cemetery that we have here in Bucks County?
I am
I'm really
not-
delving into a lot of extra
yeah,
areas here.
I am,
mean, just-
I am
I'm
not,
okay. Stay
I
with
am
me.
not personally,
Yep.
but one of the members of our community with your last name
Yes, with my last name.
is a member of the honor guard there,
Yes.
as are quite a few gentlemen from the various veterans organizations serve up there as honor guards for
Okay.
the burial. I have not been there. It's high in the bucket for my
Okay.
bucket list to go there and visit.
Yep, Jack Jameson's involved.
Yes.
So I'll just tell you an aside, a story that our viewers may enjoy, but this has to do with my father again, and it's kind of there's a Bucks County connection. So if you don't mind, I'll tell you the
Oh,
story.
not at all.
So it's kind of interesting. So my father served in World War I and was part of the advance against what they called the Gothic Line, and that was a line in northern Italy that the Germans were defending very heavily. And so as he was approaching this line, in his platoon, a number of them got killed, unfortunately, and he survived and was taken prisoner and taken to Munich and put in a prisoner of war camp there.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of interesting in that on the day, VE Day, when Patton's troops came in and liberated the camp, he was caught on one of the, not the front page, but close to the front page of a New York newspaper, coming out of the camp, kind of, cheering with two other guys. So this picture and this article had, existed in my house for years. My father had a copy of it, obviously, and he was listed as killed in action originally.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of things transpired, and he lost his veterans benefits in the early 50s. For whatever reason, they cut back a lot of benefits, I guess, and because of that, they lost their house to a sheriff's sale because that was the way they afforded the house. This was before I was born. So here comes the Bucks County connection. So he worked the rest of his life. He was a teacher and then a salesperson, and then he worked and retired for a major corporation. But all this time, he had a Bronze Star. He had a number of medals that he never received because of a fire that happened in St. Louis or
Yes.
something, right?
Yes.
Is that true?
A lot
That's
of
what-
records were lost at that
A lot of records
point.
were lost.
Yes.
So the interesting thing is my father used to do med rides here in Bucks County, and he would handle the transportation for seniors, and they would call him and he'd organize a ride. And so as the story goes, and this is not that long ago, it was about 50 years celebrating the end of World War II, and he got a call from a guy who wanted a ride to a doctor. Mm-hmm. And my dad said, "Your name's awfully familiar to me. Were you ever in World War II?" And the gentleman said, "Yes." The guy says, "Were you ever in a prisoner of war camp?" The guy says, "Yes." And this was one of the three guys that was in that photograph of them
Oh, wow.
coming out of the prisoner of war camp. So what's interesting about that is he only lived a few miles away from my father in Bucks County here, and all these years. So fast forward, there's a little more to the story. We have a few minutes.
I do.
So what's interesting is, my mother passed away, and my father ultimately got remarried, and so that woman happened to pass away as well, and he met an older woman when he was in his 70s, and she was also in her late 70s, and her son was a veteran, and he heard of my father's story, contacted the congressman at the time, and got my father's medals reinstated.
Oh, great, great.
And his war benefits. So he now lives at the behest of and on the fact that his nursing home care is covered under the Veterans Program. So it's kind of an interesting story that here he was all these years later, and he's never been happier. Actually, I just spoke to him yesterday,
Oh, well.
and so he's Mr. Positive, and I guess you have to be when you live that life.
And he's local?
Not anymore. He moved up to Western Massachusetts
Oh, okay.
to retire.
As an aside to that, we have several veterans here who are World War II
Yes.
and Korea vets. And I spoke with a gentleman before we began the interview. He's a Korea vet, joined the center about 2 months ago. He's a Korea War vet. And I've spoken with him about going on the Tour of Honor. But we have a gentleman here. He comes here 2 times a week, and he's a pool shark. He shoots pool to the senior center.
Okay, comes to the senior center.
Hopefully, on September 26th, when we take the Tour of Honor to Washington, D.C.,
Right.
he's already agreed, because I've asked him, if he will place the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier during the changing of the guard. If he is able to do that, he will have celebrated his 101st birthday 2 weeks before, and the gentleman walks without a cane.
Great.
And he's my hero.
I think he's all our hero, right? That's great.
But we met, my wife and I met a woman at the observance after last year's tour, and we waited with her while her son went to get the car, and she was 97 years old and was there on D-Day. And also was walking without a cane.
Yes, yes, yes.
That was a very tough generation.
It was, yes. My dad is definitely one of those as
Yeah.
well. I recently went to Normandy and went to the beaches there, and it's a wonderful place to visit and honor and remember their sacrifice. And
Yes.
when you see those cliffs, you just don't know how they did it. It's just
It's
almost
amazing.
seemingly impossible. But I would recommend anybody to go there. And we actually ended up staying in a French farmhouse that was made to look like an old 1940s kind of French farmhouse, and it had all of the memorabilia from the war in there. So it was really, really interesting. Well, listen, I think we've covered a lot of things, but I just want to ask you, is there anything in particular, if there's a veteran out there, listening or watching today, that you'd like, a message that you'd like to send to the veterans?
Well, number one, thank you. There is information available. Our American Legion Post has a website, and on the website we have a calendar that lists many of the veterans' events in the area, not just the American Legions, but we also post the meeting times and events for the other veterans groups.
Okay.
And we welcome all the veterans in the area to attend one or all of the groups. The other thing, if I may, I know I wrote down a note for you with a telephone number. I don't always remember this, but
Not a problem.
if there is a veteran out there who is interested, a World War II or Korea vet, in going on the Tour of Honor,
Okay.
please call the courthouse.
Call the courthouse, all right?
It's the Recorder of Deeds office. The number is 215-348-6209, and they will send you an application to go on the tour. The other thing is, if a veteran has lost their DD-214, which is their record of military service, you can also call that number for an application. As Kevin indicated, a lot of records were destroyed during a fire. But through Mike Fitzpatrick's office, they process and get missing DD-214s. Our American Legion Post, you can look at our website, which is Doylestown Post 210.org, and look at our calendar and see when we have our various events. And if you're so inclined to support the parade, the Doylestown Parade is funded through the United Veterans of Doylestown, and contributions from businesses and individuals, and that's how the money is raised. There's no large stipend from the municipalities, et cetera. They do support us with police and EMT support, but the fundraising to support the parade, which is not inexpensive, is through donations. So the UVD would appreciate your support on that.
That's great.
And thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. I'm just going to reread those numbers. This would be to reach the Recorder of Deeds office, where somebody can request the Tour of Honor information or an
Yes.
application, and also to get and I apologize, the name of that document is the
DD 214.
DD 214, a great government document number. But this is a great number, 215-348-6209. That's 215-348-6209. And I think that's what we have all for today. And I want to thank you again, Jerry. It's
Thank
been
you
a
for
wonderful
having me.
visit. And take care. And next time we'll see you here, Central Bucks Senior Center. You can come in here and get lunch. There are pool tables and other activities. So come on out and visit the Senior Center at 700 North Shady Retreat Road. And then again, we'll be here at the Central Bucks Senior Task Force most first Mondays of the month, although we're off in the summer. And we meet at 1 p.m. And then you can see this show at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. on Comcast Cable Channel 22 or Verizon 31. Thanks so much. Be well.